Rob Reynolds in southern Israel. Earlier we saw a barrage of rockets coming from Gaza. Rob Reynolds is in southern Israel, where we can see the Iron Dome intercepting those rockets. Rob, tell us what's happening.
Well, I'm here in Zikim, which is just a few kilometers from the border with Gaza. And over the past, say, 15 minutes or so, we've seen barrage after barrage after barrage of rockets coming out of Gaza and then being intercepted by the Iron Dome anti-missile system. The contrails in the sky and the white puffs of smoke silhouetted against the blueness of the sky are actually from the Iron Dome system. They arced up very rapidly, and then each puff of smoke represents a hit against an incoming missile from Gaza. So it's impossible to tell really whether any of those missiles got through, but this is what it looks like in the immediate aftermath. And the story behind this is that that Hamas said earlier today that at 5 o'clock, which was when the missiles started, that they were going to begin firing on the city of Ashkelon. And they said that in retaliation for Israel hitting residential areas in Gaza, they were going to give the people of Ashkelon an hour's warning. So that 4 o'clock local time, that came out. 5 o'clock local time, we started hearing the bangs and seeing the anti-missile measures being taken. So we don't know if any of these missiles actually made it to Ashkelon, but Ashkelon's been hit many, many times before in this conflict and in previous Gaza versus Israel conflicts. It's not very far from Gaza, and it's a major industrial city. So that's what's happening right now, and you know, it certainly is certainly a dramatic sight when you see these contrails arcing through the air at that top speed. Otherwise, in this area, I can tell you that we've seen and are seeing many military vehicles traveling on the roads, sometimes tanks, sometimes transport vehicles carrying large shells, artillery shells, sometimes just Jeep-type vehicles loaded up with Israeli army soldiers. But there's a lot of activity around here, and there are a lot of Israeli military assets in this area and surrounding Gaza. So the big question, of course, is what's happening next? Will there be a ground invasion? Certainly looks like that's what it's shaping up for. Otherwise, why would Israel be staging all these hundreds of thousands of troops around Gaza? The problem for Israel, one of the problems, the country has many in this situation, but one of the problems is that by concentrating so much of its military might on Gaza, Israel may be facing a multi-front war as Hezbollah becomes more restive in the north, and people in the occupied territories of the West Bank began resistance efforts more strongly over the recent days, ever since the Gaza war started. So not seeing any of those rockets anymore, but I would bet you we're going to see some more pretty soon.
Well, we will certainly be keeping an eye on the scene in Gaza, and indeed the scene where you are as well. Rob, stay with us in a moment, because I just want to explain to our viewers what we're seeing on our screens now. It is a boat that's on fire. It's been hit by a rocket or by an airstrike, by artillery perhaps. This is just off the Gaza coast. I remember Gaza is a strip that's bound by water. It's some 40 kilometres long of coastline, and there seems to be an enormous boat that's been hit there, and that is causing huge plumes of smoke from the fire that is exploding from that having been hit. We're going to go back to Rob. He's just come under fire from rockets that were fired from Gaza. They were hit, they were intercepted by the Iron Dome, so he could see them overhead in the sky. None, he believes, where he is at least got through. In other areas, it may have done. So, Rob, the Israeli military for a couple of days now have asked people in the border areas to evacuate. There's also been reports that volunteers have been given arms. What's the civilian population doing there?
Well, most of the civilian population is completely shocked and stunned by the infiltration of Palestinians fighters from Gaza over the weekend or on Saturday. So many of those people have left at the request of the army, and it's not really a request, it's more of an order. So they're trying to get as many people out as possible so that they are not in harm's way and don't become victims of inadvertent shelling or firing from either side. I can't really speak to that vessel you're seeing off the coast of the Mediterranean, but I will tell you that both Ashkelon and Ashdod, which is just a few kilometers north of Ashkelon, these are major ports, and a lot of the goods that come into Israel come through those ports. So if in fact this was a missile or some other attack that Hamas managed to pull off against an international ship, that's going to have consequences because shipping requires insurance. Insurers are very reluctant to insure ships that may be going into harm's way. And we see that in the Black Sea, for example, in the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So this could be quite a serious incident. It could, at the very least, raise the price of shipping into Israel, and if it were to become even more severe, some shipping companies might decline to pull into port here at all. But that's to be seen. We still don't know exactly what happened to this ship, but we'll have to find out soon enough. That's about all I can tell you about that situation. But as far as the civilians, yes, and the civilians who were here, who were in the settlements that were attacked, and the kibbutzes, and not to mention the thousands of young people who were at a dance rave party that was attacked by forces from Gaza. These people remain incredibly traumatized, and they know, many of them, family members have been taken captive and being brought back to Gaza. So that compounds the anxiety to an almost unimaginable degree.
Okay, Rob Reynolds joining us there from Zikim in southern Israel. Just to remind viewers of the pictures that we're seeing, we believe this is off the Gaza coast, a 40-kilometre stretch of coastline. A big ship, a big boat on fire there. It's been struck by an airstrike. We're also seeing other enormous splashes around it as if it is continuously being targeted. We don't quite know what the target is, but we do believe that is off the Gaza coast. And it's unusual for us to be seeing pictures of a strike on a vessel in the water. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that and bringing you more information on exactly what's going on there as soon as we get it. Well, just a little earlier, before these extraordinary pictures, we saw other extraordinary pictures, which was a huge barrage of rockets being fired from Gaza towards southern Israel.